Welcome to the Center of Light with spiritual teacher, intuitive, musician, composer, and best-selling author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, your host, Keith Anthony Blanchard.
Hello everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all my brother and sister astronauts as we launch for inner space. Center of Light Radio, radio for the soul and the transformation station. It feels good to be back in this chair. After a year break, I was with Center of Light Radio on Inception Radio Network for almost 4 years. Collected a listening audience over 4+ million. Wow. Took a break. I needed a break. So after about a year of that, I decided it's time. Had a message from Swami Visvayogi, God-realized man from India, while I was in Florida. Gave me a vision, and Center of Light Radio again is taking off. Now Center of Light Radio is available on my personal wall as well as facebook.com/Center of Light Radio 24/7. Archive shows to the tune of something like 300+ interviews with doctors, scientists, God-realized men from India. Wow. No joke. You can find it on Center of Light Radio. But all these interviews I've done, I put them in this playlist like a radio station. You can just go to the radio, the particular station, and hear the content that's playing. All these different interviews, all these different wonderful people who are walking the talk. Let's see. A couple of announcements. Center of Light Radio. You can find it on YouTube. Please go to YouTube and look up Center of Light Radio. You can find that link somewhere in this forum. You can go to youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. Subscribe to my page. It would be greatly appreciated. Things are changing. Things are moving very fast in the world. And Center of Light Radio is pushing in the sense of bringing different forms of enlightenment to people, knowledge, wisdom, like I do with this platform tonight. My guest, Miss Nori Love's going to be here shortly. Share this to you all if you feel it appropriate. Center of Light Radio is always about content and quality. I'm not into the garbage. I'm not into the noise. Doesn't do me any good. You can always click that little 3 dots up there somewhere on your phone in this forum that says, notify me when Keith goes live. That way we can always be in each other's living room doing what we do, which is hanging out as cosmic brohams and sisters. Let's see if I have any other notes before we get down to Center. Yes, I'll do it right here. If you would, I've been doing a lot of work, presentations that I do on my personal wall. I want to start migrating that over to Center of Light Radio on Facebook. Again, that's facebook.com/Center of Light Radio. So if you would go over there and like that page, and heads up, some things are coming down the pike. And I'm going to eventually start weeding out my personal channel. But also I want to give a shout out to video. Check this out. If you have a browser you can just go to while you're listening to my sexy voice. Go to videoshow.live. A good friend of mine, Tom Schaefer. Tom Schaefer. Phenomenal guy. He built me this amazing site. Now I'm plugging into all different kinds of platforms and networks just by this simple thing he did. You can go to videoshow.live/center, as in Center of Light, videoshow.live/center. And you'll see this nice layout with this really cool moving background. Go over there and check it out. It's really cool. Tom, thank you, bro. We're going to be getting down to Center of Light Radio business here shortly. My guest is Miss Nori Love. So welcome to Center of Light Radio Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Excuse me. And it is. It's 6 p.m. No, I guess I'm still on Inception Radio Network time, Norris. We're going to be right back after this commercial break. Stick around. Hello, beautiful friends. Keith Anthony Blanchard here with an amazing product offer. We have been hearing about hemp oil for the last couple of years and its potential. Let me introduce you to my dear friend, Miss Jackie Atwell. Our oil helps bring your body back to a state of wellness. It is also used as a preventative from illness. It works by bringing the body back to homeostasis and balance. It's a natural, organic, non-GMO, full-spectrum oil. Third-party tested and comes with a certificate of analysis. Posted on our information page. Awesome anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. If you are suffering in silence, give it a try. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. 60-day empty bottle money-back guaranteed refund. To order, go to www.hempworks.com/Jackie Atwell. That's www.hempworks.com/Jackie hempworks.com/Jackie Atwell.
I will be with you always, until the end of time. You will never be alone. I am.
Can you hear me, Keith? I don't know if I'm muted.
All of my days, I feel you there beside me. All of my lives, all through my days, I've seen places far away. Just when, time and again, I have come to know you. Wondering just when, time and again, you are there beside me. When I create, when I feel love, whenever I feel you with me, I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. Help me know that. It is my will that you know me. I will not hide my love from you. You create your reality and every moment by your own perceptions, your judgments, actions. Peace is a state of mind. Bliss is a state of heart. Heaven is a state of being. Deep in my heart, I know you're there. I can always feel you guiding my life to see the light that will lead me to the truth. When I create, when I feel love, whenever I feel you with me, I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. For you are my mother, my divine lover. I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. Help me live.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. That was Lavender Soul, my spiritual band comprised of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Take a look at this cover. Looks a lot like this one, which is my bestseller, The Divine Principle, and the CD happens to be the soundtrack for the book. You need to check it out. It's really, really cool stuff. It's my life's work. You can find more about that at centeroflightradio.com and click on the Creations tab. Also, I want to find a place to put my books. One moment. For my listeners out there, my regulars, to use a word, I've been promising something. One is these Japamala beads. I have some coming to many of you. Also, I mentioned last night in a course for people who signed up for a 12-week course called Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. things are happening in this course. It's amazing the unfoldment that just happens just by letting things be as they are. I really don't prepare. I get a few things together, but the connection between the people I'm working with and working with me, because the learning curve is equally received on this, and you can bet. I promised them some Japamalas, which is this prayer bead I have around my neck, but also some of this right here. Let me get it closer to the camera. This happens to be a picture of the holy man that you see in the back of me. His head's cut off. Forgive me, Sai Papa. But this little packet, as big as it's small as it is full of Vibhuti ash. This ash right here. This is holy sacred ash manifested spontaneously at will by Satya Sai Baba. So here's the ritual, right? And so you're probably thinking, well, Keith, I understand you might have put some ash on your head, but why in the world would you put that on your tongue? Because it's holy ash. It has healing properties. And it never goes away, ever. Represents the transient world, how it all gets burnt away from ash to ash, dust to dust, right? But the purpose of doing this ritual is it's a reason to connect. I'm intending to connect. And it has so many other qualities and properties. So I got that coming to my regulars. It's time to get down to Center of Light radio business. Let me tell you about my guest, Nori Love. Find my notes. See, I got to get back in the groove. It's been a year. You know, I used to have my stride, my groove, my sachet going on. I kind of lost a little bit of that. Let me tell you about my guest, Miss Nori Love. We're going to be talking tonight about quantum healing using energy and spirit. Nori Love says, be you full out. When you are fully being you, there are not limits to what you can do, can be, or create in your life. Nori is a hypnotherapist, law of attraction life coach, and teacher, an entrepreneur, author, Reiki master, and healing artist. Wow, these are so many aspects of you I didn't know about, dear. I thought you were this just awesome, cool, pretty lady who had a lot of good things to say. This is amazing. She consults and coaches on the mind-body connection and assists others to step into their full healing potential, body, mind, and spirit. Her mission is to increase well-being on all levels and to help individuals access their greatest potential, health, wealth, and happiness. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Miss Nori Love.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I felt that. I am so happy to be here. I'm feeling really emotional tonight, and the background to that is when I first stepped into being a healer, because I fought it, kicking and screaming. Whenever spirit would come in, I just couldn't help but cry because it was so beautiful. And I've grown and, mastered myself to a degree where that doesn't happen all of the time. But it may happen tonight because I'm just really feeling the energy, and I'm feeling the love, and I'm feeling the importance of us being here tonight, talking about energy and talking about spirit and talking about soul. So if that happens, I'll probably use my sleeve because I don't have a tissue.
Nori, I'm not an emotional kind of guy. Years ago I would swing with the current. I'd swing really, really hard, right? And so I get caught up in the tide, and my emotions would from being sad or angry. Anger would be the right one.
Okay.
But I'm not an emotional being per se anymore. I'm not. It's not because I'm cold. It's just because I'm not attached to this place anymore. I'm grounded. I love it here, but I'm not swayed by that current. But last night, doing a live feed. Often when I do my presentations, I get emotional sometimes, but it's more from a space of just feeling that blissful ecstasy, ecstatic love inside of my being as I go into channel mode. And it just gets overwhelming because my body doesn't often, sometimes the energies get even higher than I've ever experienced. And it begins to collect. And because I've never experienced this level of energy, I begin to cry.
Yes.
But last night was not that. Last night was truly emotional. What might be happening in that sense as to why? Of course, we just had an eclipse, but what's going on?
What's going on? I feel the shift. I feel the shift happening. I mean, feeling is my thing. When I stepped into who I came to be, it came to me that I am the vibrational cord for those seeking harmonic alignment, for I am. And then just recently, I was trying to put into words, which is crazy, what I do, not what I do or how it comes to me. And I realized that I feel the frequencies that we can't hear. And that was so powerful for me. So, like you have learned to balance your emotions, so too I've had to learn how to balance the way that I feel the frequencies. Because some days I would wake up and go out on the balcony and go, whoa, you're just going to get hit by a wave of what humanity is going through. But today, I can't deny it. I'm feeling the shift. I'm feeling what's going on in the world, and I am being reminded that I signed up to be here and right now. And there's a reason that you and I are together tonight. And there's a reason that whoever is watching tonight. And there's a reason that whoever has an inspiration in the next time they suddenly feel like going onto Facebook. Exactly. The light is going out there. The trickles of light have gone out there for those who are ready to connect. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for my friends that are here, as well as my family. So emotion, even when I was the most seasoned trauma nurse, when you are in the presence of other human beings and you are feeling their hearts and they are dealing with life-changing, never before felt feelings, you can't help but feel it. It's a vibration, and our heartstrings entrain to that. And right now, Keith, I think that the vibration, that the conflict that's going on in the world right now, right? The light and the dark, and the people who are trying to find the light, the people who are trying to embody the light and radiate the light even more brightly, we're feeling that. So just like the times where, even though I was their nurse, I cried, when their son died, I cried with them. It's the same thing. I think we're feeling that. And we who are called, to be of service, I think we're feeling it a little bit more deeply tonight to remind us, hey, you're on. It's time. This is it. This isn't a rehearsal anymore. We're being called to step up and do what we do.
I think everyone, to some degree, is empathetic. Because even if you saw someone you would swear that you hate in a car accident on side the road bleeding, you are going to feel something.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are gifted to have a little more of we all have the same abundance of it. It's just more, I think some of it would have to do with your makeup and what you resonate to as an expression of God. Some people are more empathetic. Some people are more clairvoyant. Some people are more this. Some people are more that. Nori, how did this all begin for you? I mean, there are three basic questions or three models I go through when I do these shows. One is definitely, where did you come from as to why this happened to you? Then the show happens, and towards the end, I ask another question, and I'll get to that later. But when did this occur for you, and how did it happen? Because the how is, some people choose, they're innate. They just lean into it.
Yeah.
And for some people, pain is an amazing catalyst.
Get out of my head. Okay. So exactly. First, I'm very inspired to say that when I was a little girl, my parents would take me on vacation every summer, and they would take me to really cool places, like like a ranch where there were horses, and Canada, and Maine, and we would stay in places that were very natural settings. And I would sneak out at night. My parents would be sleeping or inebriated, and I would sneak out, and I would go into the field or the woods, and I would look to the sky, waiting. I had an expectation that there was someone or something that was coming to make contact with me, that was coming to reunite with me. So when you say, where do you come from? I'm 93% more sure than ever before that I come from a star system. How did this begin for me? It began with a lot of pain, and
relationship. Was it relationship?
No, well, no. I mean, I chose to experience so many things this life so that I would be completely available and understanding for what anybody else could be going through. So it started for me at birth, Keith. I mean, I was adopted. It was a big secret. It was a secret. It was hidden. It was, the lawyer's dead and the files are sealed, and don't ever ask a question. And people would lie to me and say, no, of course you're not adopted. So there was that pain of that, and then particularly there was this little bird that fell. I know. I was a little girl playing outside, and this little bird fell. And for the life of me, I don't remember there being a tree there. So was there a nest in the phone pole? I don't know. But this little bird splat, hit the ground, and I felt like a vibrational waterfall flow through me. And I was initially not horrified. It took my breath away. So I don't know if the breath of the Spirit came through me at that moment, but that was the pivoting point for me. I was just a little girl. So I took this bird and, I showed my mother, and, I made it a little ICU room. And of course, it was going to die, but nonetheless, I had this relationship with this creature that taught me how energy and spirit works. And that was how it began for me. Then after that, things would happen. Animals would show up on my path that were broken. Then when I got a little bit older, people started showing up on my path that were broken, including, adult family members, right. And that was kind of weird because I'm like, even though I was a little girl, I was thinking, I don't know, this is kind of weird. I'm a little girl and they're coming to me for advice or being, I don't know what this is. So, that happened, but then there was a lot of drama and trauma, in my life. A lot of drinking in the family. There was, emotional abuse. There was sexual abuse. My best friend's father raped me when I was 12. So all of that sounds horrible. It sounds really, really bad. But as I look back, when I would go into bed at night, no matter what horrible thing happened that day, there would be 4 angels sitting on my bed. I would go under the blankets and there would be 4 angels sitting on my bed, and I would just connect with God. I would connect with spirit, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. And after that, when you have a childhood like that, I recreated it. I recreated that love was supposed to hurt in all of the relationships that I chose. So I would choose relationships that were abusive. So there was a whole lot of pain there until I unlearned, that's not really what love feels like, to find out what love does feel like. And in the interim, I was arguing with God, like, if I'm a healer, you need to show me, you need to, I mean, and it would happen. We would be at a restaurant and somebody would be choking and I'd go over to them and it would just automatically go away. So God was showing me, but there was a part of me that was so resistant. I don't know. I wanted the Goodyear blimp, saying, you are a healer, Nori, to come by or something. So finally I became a nurse. And I was working in the burn and the trauma ICU. And we used to joke that if the pieces were still living, that we would try and put them back together. And that was the kind of destruction of the human body that we would deal with. And I said, okay, God, if you show me here where the pieces are so broken and where the electrical interference is so intense and where I'm surrounded by people who only believe in Western medicine, then I will believe you. And the night that same breath that came through me, the night that it took hold of me in the burn and the trauma ICU, I literally was standing there and just listening to what Spirit was telling me to do, saying the words that Spirit was telling me to say to this patient that was comatose. And the tears were just pouring down my face, because when you are in the presence of the majestic, right? When you are in the presence of the Most High, it is so beautiful. It is the song, it is the vibration, it is the symphony that just gets you so deeply in your soul that you can't help but cry. And that's how it started for me.
That's why when I go into vessel mode, I cry. It's like, and maybe you would agree with this, and maybe you have your own description, but to me, it feels like you're being cloaked with a shawl or this divine illumined lit garment, like your special superhero cape that has these magical powers. It's just like being knighted, so to speak. It's like being just acknowledged.
Yeah.
In a cosmic, divine love way.
Absolutely. If you can imagine, we all talk about being connected to all and everything. We talk about that. But if you can imagine really feeling that connection, right? So you have transcended ego, you've transcended fear, you've transcended judgment, you've transcended doubt, you've transcended pain, and all there is love, and you are connected to every star, you are connected to every person. That is what I feel. That is the light. It's love. I don't know what else. It's love. Love is the only word that makes sense to me. Yeah. So I get it that you feel like a cloak would, what would the word, cocoon you?
That would be a fantastic word.
Right? Right? Because I feel cocooned in the light. When I go into that mode, I feel cocooned in the light, and I am separate from this body. And all there is energy and spirit. And I'm a conduit. I am just a vessel for that energy flowing through me. And I am so deeply grateful to be of service in that same moment that, I don't know. It's better than anything physical on the planet. It's better than any food, any alcohol. It's better than the best orgasm you've ever had. Right?
And just think of all that darkness you described in your early childhood. And as I look at this light before me, sitting in that chair having a dialogue with me, it's amazing. The transformation from that. What happened to you and others like you, people all over the world in every walk of life, you're not special. It's going to strike everybody. To come from a past as yours and to come out truly like a lotus flower, because the lotus flower grows in murky, dirty, stinky, rotten water, and out comes this beautiful creation. I know that place very well. That dark night of the soul lasts a long time. Very, very long time.
Sometimes it comes in waves, right?
And I'm glad I took my dose all at once.
Oh,
I
you
took
did.
my dose all at once. I said, you know what? Let's just do this thing. And I dove in, and I'm ready. I don't want this to linger. What, if someone said, Keith, eat this dog shit. You may not like the taste, but I promise you, it will shave. I would say, where's it? Where is it? Arf, arf.
Okay, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with
I
that.
wanted it. I, like you mentioned, when you declared to God, you said, when you do this for me, I will. It's not really that you're trying to make a deal with God. You try to make a deal with God, you're going to fall on your face every time. You try to make a covenant. You establish a relationship, and you can be firm as your position. No, when you do this for me and help me recognize that I'm getting da 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 da, and you lay out the groundwork, you somewhat get respected by the divine, saying, check you out. Right? But it's all about where you're coming from inside. The universal language is not English, it's intention. I mean, you don't have to say words, you can just garble, and it will still understand your heart. It's just a magical place where you come from, Nori, from all this dark stuff to being this person who has all these accolades. So a lot of people, when I talk about accolades, my achievements, if I'm interviewing someone who has gold records, or they're like, Keith, that goes straight to the ego. I don't care if it goes straight to the ego. Everybody has a damn ego. Stop it. It's like when we have these egos and this divine ego, and we create certain things for ourselves that is being validated and acknowledged. I think that when you bring that into the arena, to tell your brother or sister who lives next door, check this out, dude. I just applied myself. That's all I did. I think it gives them something that's tangible. Wow, I'm no different than this person. And they're trying to say, this is yours as well. What are your thoughts about that?
Boy, I'm thinking a lot of things about that. So I was thinking back to the part that I left out, that I was obese. So after all of that happened to me, I ate myself, right? I padded myself because I didn't want to feel any more pain. I padded myself to more than 200 pounds. So I had that experience as well. But I'm saying that because I'm like going back in my mind over all of the things that you would call accolades, right? So it was the pain of being obese that made me want to teach aerobics, that made me become a bodybuilder. So it wasn't that I was like, oh, I want to be hot and I want to be size. It was none of that. It was the pain that inspired me. And even the day that I stepped on stage to do the bodybuilding competition that I won, I put my hood up, I had music on in my iPod, and I was like, okay, God, please just allow your light to shine through me. That's all that I wanted to happen. That was my intention that day. And it happened. So Reiki master, life coach, hypnotherapy, I can't really... I don't feel like it's like, oh, look what I did. I did that. It was like a calling. That's probably the best way for me to say it. It was a calling that led me to here. It was a calling that now retrospectively I see kind of packaged me in a way that made me appealing to people right now, because I can do so many things. I can work with your spirit and your energy on so many levels now. And the funny part is, I could just do it in a conversation and they all blend together, and they come up to be a healing modality all of their own, so I don't feel like they're accolades. And I honestly, let me make sure I'm telling you the truth. I don't feel like I'm anything special.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like I'm anything. So my mission, right, my work is so big and so all-consuming that that I don't think about that stuff. That's just, I don't know. It's not part of my now. It's not part of my now.
Yeah. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, host of Center of Light Radio, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Going to be right back. Nori, when we get back, I would like to talk about the title of this show, Quantum Healing Using Energy and Spirit. Sound good to you, dear?
Perfect.
Commercial break. We're going to be right back. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Light Radio. Remember, like Nora and I are talking about, everything is really it just all boils down to a choice. After choice. After choice. After choice.
Remember that all things are possible. You must choose to be accountable, responsible, enough to believe, and open your heart to receive.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, your host. After a year, I decided to come back to radio. Can't get rid of it. It's part of who I am. I'm assuming. My whole life has been about my voice. Don't know why. I sing. I do Center of Light Radio. It's fun to be back. It's good to see all these beautiful people returning And I want to say a special thank you again, even though I'm not per se with Inception Radio Network. I want to say thanks to MJ with Inception Radio Network. I think Inception Radio Network is going to be coming back slowly but surely. I'd love to be a part of that beautiful light machine. Welcome back, Nori.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yes, darling. Wonderful. I would like to get into the segment of quantum healing using energy and spirit. Let's talk a little bit about the healing modalities that you offer and wherever you want to go with that.
Okay, first I would like to set my intention. My intention is to increase well-being on all levels, all ways and always. So whatever you might be needing tonight, if you are here, I ask you to just set your critical mind, set your analytical mind aside, because it's in the spaces in between our thoughts that healing and spirit can slip in. So we are whole, perfect, and complete. We are whole, perfect, and complete. If you think about the way that God sees you, if you think about the way that the angels see you, they see you in spirit. They see your spirit. They don't see that you have a hole in your sock. They don't see that, you haven't colored your hair and you need to do your roots. They don't see all of those things that we think other people are seeing in us that would judge us as not whole or not perfect or not complete. So from that angelic, right, from that God vantage point, if you could just see yourself from there, I would like to just begin opening the rest of the conversation from there. Because if you believe that you can heal, if you believe just a tiny, tiny bit, then you will. Just like everything else, just like that beautiful song, healing is a choice. The conditions that we have, that we think we need to be healed from, and I know this is a bold statement, they too are a choice. Does that mean that I chose everything that I went through in my childhood? Pretty much, yes, I did. So you are whole, perfect, and complete. What gets in the way to make you think that you're not? What gets in the way to make you think that you're not perfect, or that you're sick, or that you're wrong, or that you're fat, or that you're, mean? What gets in the way? Situations, right? Life gets in the way, and situations get in the way. And it's those situations and the way that we think about them that obscures our angelic view of ourselves. It obscures our godly view of ourselves, that we are whole, perfect, and complete. So if you think about the angelic view of being whole, perfect, and complete, then you might not need new socks, right? The socks with the hole in them might be okay. You can still be whole, perfect, and complete with that. And so too, I'm saying this because healing doesn't mean the complete absence of disease or physical or cellular perfection. Healing is an inner balance that you go, wow, yeah, I am whole, perfect, and complete. Maybe you will have an injury that forever changes the way that you navigate in life. Instead of mourning the loss of the mobility or whatever that was, your hand or your arm or whatever, if you can move into the angelic view of spirit and see yourself as whole, perfect, and complete, then you don't lose any time, right, in grief, in angst. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have a dark night of the soul if you go through something big or if your body's traumatized, because you are. But here's the thing. The faster that you move into balance with your spirit, the sooner you get on with your life and you learn how to define your life from this new place. And even though you may have limited mobility of your arm or your leg, you are bigger in spirit. You are more proactive. You are a greater force in spirit. Your light is bigger. So the quicker you get there, the less important what happened in the physical is. Does that make sense?
Perfectly.
It does.
I think we're done with the show. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next.
That's it. It was good. I had to stand up for this because the energy is just too big. Yeah. So
yeah.
So how do I do it? I do it. I don't do it. That's how I do it. I don't do it.
Right.
I am just a vessel for God's love, and that was my most fervent prayer when I was a little girl under the blankets with the 4 angels, on each corner of my bed. Please just let me be a vessel for your love. And I trusted that no matter what I was going through, that I was on the path to that. So what I do is I just step into that place and I feel the person, and I feel their soul. I feel their frequency. And that's part of sometimes what makes me cry, because the beauty of who they are is sometimes so overwhelming. So I just tap in, I connect with them, and then everything else is divine intervention. Everything else is God flowing through me. It could be as simple as touching the dog that suddenly, was in a fight that afternoon and I happened to meet him that night. Or it could be something as big as working with a patient who is dying. So, like complete total ends of the spectrum. It's all the same thing. It's just the physical appearance is different.
I would bet some of your time working with patients who are dying, you probably have lots of empathetic, spiritual, connecting stories to tell.
I still get chills.
Yeah.
I still get chills because the way that people are when they're getting ready to leave is amazing. Now, not everybody. Some people have their own thing to work through, and they're still working through it at the end of life. But the people who really, almost 95% of the people want to talk about it. But they can't talk about it because they're afraid that it's going to hurt the person that they're talking to. So to have been in that position where people feel the freedom to be completely honest about what they're feeling is just, that's just God in action again.
I bet it's just gorgeous. I bet it's beautiful. Long story short, I had a friend of mine. I was going on my second set playing music. I turned on my bass amp and I heard a snap, and I thought it was my bass amp that popped or something. And it was a friend of mine who got shot in the back, and after it was over, 45 seconds to a minute, I ran into the chaos to find out what was happening. There's my friend. Long story short, when I knew it was a gun that went off twice, I was angry and afraid just like everybody else. But when I finally got to her, there was police officers and paramedics who were friends of the man. They came out to see us all the time, but even so, they're doing their job. They say, "Where do you think you're going?" And a very good nurse friend of mine said, "Let him go. She would want to talk to him." So when I put her hands in my hand and her head in my other, it all went away. All the pain, all the anger, all the being afraid. I just saw something literally in my hands that was so beautiful. Ironically, the most amazing translation in life is death. That I was entrusted to whisper the last sweet somethings in her ear. That was such an amazing moment for me. And when I got home, I had a babysitter. My son was 6 months old. At 6 months old, when the babysitter left, I proceeded to tell him
Ah,
what took place, even though he didn't understand
yes, he did.
English language wise.
Yeah.
But I wanted to express to him what his father was feeling by what took place, and how something so dark was transformed into something so beautiful for me.
Exactly. Exactly. And your son understood.
Yeah.
They're so close to source still that they get it, even though they don't have the language to let you know that they get it. But there's nothing like it. It's at that moment that we realize that we are, a part of something else. We really are a little spark of God creating on the planet, and we get to go back to the non-physical state, and we get to create from the non-physical state. Some people believe they come back. I don't like put my finger in anybody's pie about their beliefs, but energy is always energy. Energy can't be destroyed. It takes on different forms. So I had a surgery, and right before the anesthesia was taking effect, I had this feeling that it was like I was in a cocoon of billowy silk material. And it was like I could feel the sound of the silk billowing. And at that moment, I felt completely connected. I felt completely at peace. I felt completely loved. And before I went unconscious, I had that experience. And over time, I've come to learn that I think that's similar to what people feel before they die.
Wow. I had that feeling.
You did?
Yeah. Many, many years ago when I first moved to Memphis, Tennessee, I had a sister who was 2 years older than me, and she had a condition called Friedreich's ataxia, which is like muscular dystrophy of the nervous system. So I moved to Memphis, Tennessee. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my father. My dad says, Keith, you need to come home. Your sister's passing away. She had an abscess, and she was too weak to fight it. And so when I drive all the way down to Houma, Louisiana, I get there. I walk into the hospital room, and my sister's laying on the bed. So I hold her hand and say, hi, Cheryl. Nori, I started leaving my body. I don't know if she was doing it because she was enough into the transition where she's now conscious and using her will from that side. Whatever. In the swirling of her leaving, I was being pulled into the current. And it was like, basically, it was somewhat like as if she was saying, come check out where I'm going.
What a gift.
And my mother and father said, Keith, you okay? And I said, yeah, I just feel a little faint. I knew it wasn't faint, even though I've never fainted before. I knew this was something, and this was way before I was a conscious individual. This is in a Catholic upbringing, nothing against Catholicism. That's just the mindset I was in. And so I sat against the wall, said, let me just sit here. My mother and father had one child in the bed dying. I don't want them freaking out about another one who is feeling a little weird. But I felt that place, that in-between place. You still feel the earth, but you feel the flightiness, like your feather that I posted in your picture.
Yeah.
You feel that airy, fairy, angelic kind of thing.
Yes.
I know that place well.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. It's the place of no resistance. It's the place of when we surrender. I mean, we spend our lives like pushing against things, judging ourselves, being analytical, being critical, worrying that, my arm might look funny. So, now how are people going to treat me? We spend our lives doing that when part of the practice part of my practice is to surrender to anything that pulls me out of that. Now, do I still have work to do? Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are certain things that get me, and I have to really work hard. I have to really focus to get my balance back, to surrender. And it's my observation that the more that we practice surrendering to spirit, surrendering to all that is, surrendering to God, I think the easier it is when we make our final transition.
I love what you said, and I want to echo that because I think it's very, very, very important. Is that when you're in a situation and you don't know what to do, usually even when we think we know what to do, it doesn't mean it's our highest option. As Robert Tennyson Stevens, I interviewed him a few years ago, something he said was just so amazing. He said, every thought that you think that is not the highest one contains self-sabotage.
That's the truth.
So
the truth.
What I want to echo you with is, as illumined as you see people all around you, there's a lot more work to do. You have to unlearn, whatever word you choose, this dance of being so good at what you're doing that it becomes default, second nature.
Exactly.
It's your new script.
Yes.
And then after that, you got more work to do. So becoming spiritual lumen, getting on your knees and talking to a deity is a phenomenal thing because it is the humility, as Nori mentioned earlier. When you open yourself up to be of service, something begins to happen. That's the purpose of a deity, to lower ourselves, to humble ourselves to someone who knows better. If I want to be a chef, I'll go to culinary school. If I want to be an apprentice in spirit, I'll go to someone who is adept in it and they're walking the talk. In fact, they have followers. Not that the followers are important. It's just a validation of the light because moths are attracted to the light.
Mm.
The work is becoming so good at it that your intervals between your bliss and your non-bliss gets wider until you're in one long drone of living in this effortless ease place. And it's not because you're not going to have a bad day. Things may move, but you're planted. You understand the wobble.
Exactly.
And so you have to be diligent 24/7, even when you are sleeping, especially when you're sleeping, because that's where you are really in your mastership, spiritual, conscious energies. So the trick is now you have to become conscious on both levels, here on the earth, as well as in the sleep realms. Would you say so, Nori?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think a lot of us think, or I did, that, if I pray in the morning, or if I meditate, or if I do something that sounds spiritual, then, then I'm going to reach, that self-mastery, right? That mastery of being one with spirit. But you know what? It's not really in those big actions that we find it. I'm finding that it's more in the everyday, on your feet, moment to moment, things that look like, oh God, the dog pooped on the floor, right? Those are the moments where we have the opportunity to shine our light even brighter, right? When somebody says something, or if somebody says something to you and you're like, oh, whatever, it's not about that person. It's that you are at different energetic levels. So you have a choice. You can either shift, right, to feel that person's energy, and then you won't go, oh, whatever. You go, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Or you can walk away from those people. So imagine, I like imagery. So imagine the brightest light of God, right? The brightest light of the Spirit is coming down through you, through the top of your head, and then it's coming out through your solar plexus, right? So just imagine that wave of light coming out through you, right? And that wave of light can fan out like a huge spray. And think of all of the people, places, things, creatures that are being blessed by your light that's spraying out. That's like a floodlight. So that's great. But then all of a sudden, oh, here comes my neighbor. You know, she is such a pain. She's such a pain in the butt. You know, she talks too much. My light suddenly just contracted, right? What is he talking about? I hate when he talks that kind of stuff. My light contracted. I have a judgment about somebody. My light contracts. I have a judgment about myself. Oh my God, do you see what I'm doing? Do you see what I'm thinking? I cannot believe I am such a jerk thinking this way about people, right? Now my light is so cut off, right? My light is so constricted that I feel empty. I feel burdened. I feel darkness, right? And that can feel like evil. It can feel like bad things are coming. You know, you could have that sense of ominous, you know, foreboding. And it's not that those things are really going to happen. It's that we're not connected. When we are connected, that's when we are whole, perfect, and complete. And that's where everything happens for us. So it's in that moment where you're sick 3 days longer than you wanted to be. Instead of getting all angry about it and, you know, stomping around the house that you're still sick and you're falling in bed, you go, okay, all right. So what can I do in this moment to shine my light? Right? Or you have to take Aunt Sally to the doctors, and you hate taking Aunt Sally to the doctors because all she does is tell you how to turn and put your blinker on. And instead of getting in your head about that, you choose to see something beautiful in Aunt Sally, and then your light is shining bright, right? And then all of a sudden, people, places, and things are being blessed by your very presence. So it's in the everyday moments that we can do our highest work. When you're going to beat yourself up because you're putting your jeans on and damn it, I can't believe it. I ate that cheesecake last night. Now I can't button my jeans. Right? It's in that moment, you know, you're afraid that, well, if I kind of let myself off the hook and I'm nice to myself, well, then maybe I'll gain more weight. No, it's in shining your light that your body is going to take on the shape of whole, perfect, and complete. And you're going to feel good, whatever that shape is.
Isn't it amazing? Like the one you just named, we all have our own, but we have so many we talked about earlier. It's not always the big things that happen. It's really being in balance with the little things, because the little things are your everyday ongoing life. The big things happen only once in a while. But if you get your little things together, you're prepared for the big things. You're more grounded.
Absolutely.
And it's like those little things that you just named. You ate the extra slice of cheesecake and you can't put your jeans on. That's just a little thing, but it is plugged into your vibrational frequency of how you feel about it all. That's one little thing. Now, guess what? You got to stay on top of that little thing, because you know you're going to eat that cheesecake again. So you're going to have to work on that. And while you work on that, you got this other issue happening. You got to work on that. And then you got to work on this. It's all these little pieces. But here's where the work begins to end. Once you show your intention of getting your spiritual healing expansive groove on, the wheel begins to move, and then you begin to gain momentum. And now, again, by default, second nature, habit, you begin to ooze, express, emote,
right,
higher ideas, where you start literally creating shortcuts instead of step A, step B, step C, so forth and so on. You get the whole picture in a way that you understand, and you know how to wield your lightsaber.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm seeing it a lot in people in relationship, right? Because the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together is a big thing right now. So I'm seeing it in relationship, and relationships are such a hook, right? They are such a hook to pull you in and spin you around so that you forget you even have a light, right? Because when you're all balled up, you know, that he squeezed the toothpaste tube, or you think that he's sending pictures to somebody, right? When you're all balled up about that, you can't be in the flow of love. You can't be in the flow that says, you know what? That thing about him sending pictures isn't even about him. That's about me. And I have more work to do. And that's when your light suddenly, you're not perfect, right? You're still feeling it. You're still upset, but your light is now more open because you realize where it came from and what you can do about it. That's where you shift more quickly, or where somebody calls you on your attitude. And instead of having an argument with them, you go,
that is an amazing shift. That is so monumental. Long story short, I was playing a gig, and this guitar player that I was hired gun as a bass player, I said something in my silly way and meant it with a certain beautiful heart. And boy, he just didn't like it. And so after he explained to me that you did this to me, Keith, and I said, dude, my apologies. I had no intention. He didn't want to hear any of that. And I get it. He was venting. So I go back inside. And I'm sitting at the chair, and he's passing by, and my second attempt to say, bro, my apologies. It just so happened the jukebox in the room stopped.
No
and
way.
He was yelling over the jukebox to be heard so I can hear him. And he said, Keith Blanchard, you... And in the midst of it, I realized this is not me. This is happening, but I'm not engaged.
Exactly.
And Nori, I swear I just moved out of the way. He walked off. I sent him light and blessings because I love him. He was just having a moment. What's the point of getting mad at my brother who had a moment? I have moments. And when he walked away, I took a shot of my tequila and I was done with it. Nori, are you good for another half hour?
Absolutely.
My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, host of Center of Light Radio, back Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for joining me. You can always support Center of Light Radio by going to facebook.com/Center of Light Radio. Start hooking up with me there. I want to move this towards my wall for my beautiful play/work. Like Nora and I are talking about quantum healing using energy and spirit. One way that'll get you into that game is to breathe.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
There is nothing I need to know. but me and God who's in my heart. And expect myself to know there is no one else but me and God.
Seriously, amazing. Amazing. I sense that. I have some lyrics I want to share with you sometime. I've been holding them for years. Okay, beautiful. Oh, absolutely. It's so good to be here with you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. That was a song by a dear friend of mine. Been knowing her many years. Never met her. Facebook friends from when Facebook started. Found out she was a musician. She wrote this really cool music. She has 3 or 4 albums. Check out the web address there, which is www.andreaforrest.bandcamp.com. Forrest has only 1 R. All of her music's phenomenal. In fact, I use not without her permission, but without her permission, my movie and the Meek Shall Inherit the Earth. I found this soundbite in my computer. I did a copyright check on it. It didn't belong to anyone, so I used it. And then one day I heard a piece of music of hers online. I went, oops. So, but it's just phenomenal stuff. Make sure you check it out. Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, everyone. Welcome my guest again, Miss Nori Love.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, always. So we're talking about quantum healing and energy. We're talking about energy and spirit. So quantum, we are all connected. We are connected to all and everything. And just for formalities, if this does not resonate with you, if you don't get it, it's okay. We are multidimensional holographic beings. We are energy. We are frequency. We are light. And we are healed by energy and light. The radiance of God. What do you think that is? I mean, love is a frequency. So I would have to say that the radiance of God is the same thing. Now, how you get to it, right, based on your spiritual beliefs, based on your religion, that's a personal thing. But the important thing to know is that you can get to it. How do you begin? By asking, right? What do I want? What do I really, really want? Like, who am I and what do I want? All I ever wanted was to be a vessel for God's love. So I had a lot of things in the way, and I was given time and time again the opportunity to up-level those things and move those things out of the way in order to get to what I wanted and who I want to be. So what do you want? Do you want to feel good in your body? Do you want to feel good in your thoughts? Do you want to stop beating yourself up? Do you want to stop yelling at the kids? Do you want to stop having road rage? Do you want to heal your intestines? Do you want to stop criticizing people? Do you want to be more honest? Do you want to have greater integrity? Right? It begins by making a decision. And then from there, you ask, right? I state it in an intention. I am, okay, so this is where it came from me. I am the vibrational cord for those seeking harmonic alignment. Now that's really fancy. I went through probably 4 billion intentions over the years leading up to that. And that probably doesn't mean anything to anybody, but it means every single word, every single letter means something so important to me. And that's how you can craft your intention, right? Wake up in the morning and I just want today to be peaceful. I just want today to go smooth. That's healing. You know, same as the little bird that I got to be with before it died, or the dog that I didn't know was in a fight before I met him. So those are all examples of healing, but so too, the way that we navigate in our body, the way that we're connected to spirit, the way that we're connected to God, that's healing too.
I love the idea of energy. It's never created nor can be destroyed. As and I've been noticing this, and I invite anyone out there to do the same thing. Put something as simple around your neck as this bead. There is a tassel on this bead. Earlier tonight, this bead was vertical, tassel at the bottom. As I sit here tonight, this bead begins to walk its way up my neck. Because we are this energy that's vibrating. Again, I invite that you get a coin, a washer with a string, or a pendulum of any sort. You can make it yourself. Stay still. Think something in particular and it will move. Well, the first thought logically is, I'm moving it. When you convince yourself that you're not moving it, it will move. You can say, show me a yes response, and it will begin to move. And as soon as you say, show me a no response, it will stop mid-point and begin to turn. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because tonight's presentation interview is quantum healing using energy and spirit. So all these little modalities you're describing, Nori, that all these little places in our lives that require healing, changes that spin.
Exactly.
And we become greater participants in the cosmic conversation because we're now imbued with the light that we are bringing and that you have been talking about. It's about finding those little hidden, dark little places, those little pinpricks that we don't know exist until you decide to say, make me a channel of your peace. And then the thought shows up in your mind, well, you remember when you were 8 years old, this thing happened to you. It's time for you to clear it. But if you never declared or said out loud or affirmed in your heart space that, make me a channel of your peace, but I'm for real this time. Those higher thoughts would never come into your experience to say, well, this in your past is unhealed, this in your present is unhealed, so forth and so on. So as we begin to get better at the human development, the bells and whistles that come along with this is just so amazing. The feelings in your body, the effortless ease to move about in the world, to function in life. This is one of probably the greatest thing that motivates me, Nori, is living in effortless ease. And by being so connected and congruent with Divine Parent, by a simple thought, a willing forth an idea that I find is so sacred and beautiful, becomes a holy moment.
I love those moments. I love those moments. And I just felt that so deeply. What do you desire? Do you desire to just navigate life in peace and ease? Is that what you want? Then you're going to have the opportunity to move through the situations, the people, places, things, and circumstances so that you can, like Keith was saying, so you can clear it. That's what I wanted to say. A lot of the things that we hold on to, okay, so I was brought up in New York, and the Italian ladies, and I can say that because I'm Italian, the Italian ladies in the neighborhood, the older Italian ladies, and I was little then, if their husband died, they wore black for the rest of their lives. They were in mourning for the rest of their lives. So what were you taught? What were you taught about grief, right? How did you see your parents or, your society, your church, whatever, behave regarding grief? I would encourage you to look at that, because if you really consider that we are energy and we never cease to exist, somebody changing form might not warrant, you might not choose to behave the way that the family and the society did. And that's okay. And when you get to that place, that is like liberation. And it's the same thing with illness. When I worked in the burn and the trauma ICU, when children came in, I got to take care of the children because I didn't have any. And all of the ladies that I worked with had kids, and they were like, no, I can't do it. The thing that I loved working with children about is that when they felt pain, they expressed it. When they didn't feel pain anymore, they were okay. They didn't have the life experience where they took on, people's neuroses and the anxiety and the other things that we take on because of society and the television and our family. They don't have that. So they can move through healing faster than adults. So the bottom line to what I'm saying is you have a choice about the way that you do things. I'm a very transparent coach and healer. I told you about my upbringing. I told you about getting the message that love was supposed to hurt. So in keeping with that, I spent a lot of time being hurt. And I can remember the day, I don't remember exactly when it was, that I said to myself, he was cheating on me. I'm so hurt. Normally I would go and lay down and I would cry and I'd eat a can of whipped cream and, I'd do all those things that you do when you're hurt. But this day I said, how long do you want to do this? And I said, all right, I'll give it 40 minutes. And I gave it 40 minutes. And I couldn't make 40 minutes. Because I realized in that moment that I don't have to feel that I'm choosing to feel that. And that expanded my light and my freedom and my ability to be me full out so much more greatly.
That's just delicious. That is what you call a choice. It's not just monkeying with the idea that I'm kind of contemplating I might make it the change. Well, that's the beginning step. I get it. I'm not trying to desecrate or trivialize someone's attempt to move forward. But when you make a choice like that, literally mountains begin to move.
Yes. Anything
in your way, an elephant, Ganesh, will come around, just get it out your way. No joke.
Exactly. And, I did it with grief. As much as I had been around death, as being a nurse, when my mom was dying, I wasn't doing it gracefully. I was sitting on the curb at the hospital wailing. There was nothing graceful about it. And I stopped for a minute because I realized what I was doing to myself. What my physical body was taking such a hit from that I I caught my breath and I was like, God, please just show me how to do this with grace. And sure enough, things happened. I happened to meet somebody or have a conversation that I never anticipated would happen. And it showed me how to choose differently rather than to put myself through all of that pain. And the magical thing that I found was when I wasn't unavailable because I was wailing and in so much pain, my mother was right there. And that was a powerful lesson. So powerful. And she still is, yeah.
I had somewhat of a similar, different. They can coexist.
Yeah.
We're getting out of duality, right?
Exactly.
There's a third something, the Christ, the lotus, the phoenix. When I was a kid, I wanted to play music, right? I knew it was my path. I was 6 years old. My mom, one of the perks we had, they would take us to the VFW at Bowling Alley. And I'm 6 years old throwing the ball down the lanes, goofing off probably through my legs. And a song came out of the jukebox, loud. And it was the Monkees' Last Train to Clarksville.
Oh, that's such a good song.
That was it. My divine script was laid out for me, right? And so teenage comes along, learning guitar, playing lazy, playing guitar, playing around. Mom says, Keith, I know you want to be a musician. You're probably really good at it. Why don't you just stop all that nonsense right now and go get a job? So I ignored her. And I continued, and I pushed forth, and I pushed forth. Some years ago, one of my most popular bands here in Memphis, Tennessee, called King's Trio, phenomenal. The vocals were like Crosby, Still and Nash, world-class players, drummer for Hank Williams Jr., bass player for Starship, just world-class players. So my point of dressing this up is the musicianship here was just so powerful. And my mother came in town to visit me. And she's not a rock and roll person at all. So she tolerated it. But the last song I played was Lady by the Little River Band. And which was her favorite rock song if she ever had one. And before, as soon as I got off the stage, it was the last song before break, my mother said, come here. I said, give me one moment. Let me go to the restroom. Come back. I said, what's up, Mom? She says, do you remember when you was a little boy, a young kid, I told you to go get a job and you didn't? You ignored me? I said, yep. She said, I'm proud of you.
Aww.
That was a very solidifying moment for me.
Absolutely.
Completely, totally. And it's like I've been waiting. I forgot that I was waiting until it happened. Then I remember I've been waiting from that time in my life to that present moment for a release. I was being released from a transgression or whatever. Nothing against me is in a negative, bad way, but I was being released from something that was pigeonholing me into hell, literally. And a level I was not aware of what was happening to me, but I became aware of it. And in the simple light of that awareness, changed it. I didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to sit there and effort to clear this thing. My simple awareness of something that I was not aware of before, my mom said this to me, just changed it. Solidified the healing, as well as releasing the hurt, the wound.
Powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
So powerful. Wow.
It sets down anchors for the rest of your life. Every time you get a landmark of that proportion, it's like another anchor of light has been put into your experience while you reside on the earth.
An anchor of light. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
And it's also another picture image would be an anchor moors, M-O-O-R-S. It moors. It hunks itself. An anchor that moors, just like a lightning rod. And it's a beautiful imagery because if you sat in meditation, you know, people think that when you're in meditation and we visualize all these things, we're using our imagination. You're just making this shit up. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm making it up. I'm bringing it from nothing into a thought form, an idea, as you were created in my image, my imagination, and as like me, you will so bring forth. So imagination, John Lennon was so intelligent. In the simple song, Imagine, he's triggering you already. There's no way out of it. He's saying, imagine. So he takes you to that place. Right. And now you're left with no choice to understand what he's saying. He's saying, imagine there is no heaven. It's easy if you try. Just him engaging the word imagine brings you off of the earth and back into your essence by imagination.
And imagination is so underrated. It is such a powerful spiritual tool. It's such a powerful healing tool. I use it in hypnotherapy. I used it when I was obese and I wanted to change my body. You know, I got an image. I imagined what it would be like to not be the way that I was. One time when I was really, really sick, it took me about 3 days of sitting on the couch. I mean, I was really sick. Sitting on the couch, trying to imagine, right? I was efforting so hard, trying to imagine, that I said, oh, forget it. And then I just imagined the light of God coming through me, the light of God coming into me. And it was late afternoon. It was springtime. The trees, I could see the trees through my window. I was actually sitting on a chaise, not a couch. And all of a sudden, I think I was exhausted, and my analytical mind, you know, the part of me that was trying to effort it in, let go. And literally, Keith, like a bolt of lightning, it struck me. And again, it caught my breath. And I sat there for a minute like, what just happened? What just happened? And in that moment, I knew that I was healed. I knew that the radiology and the lab tests that were waiting for me the next day changed along with my cells. And so they did. So imagination is a powerful gift. And people are so much more willing to use it at the end of their life, because I don't know if you recognize how important it is, or you get to go somewhere different than where you are at that moment.
And it's eventually making its way to, that's all you have left.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
From the chat room, my friend Rick Vito asked the question, Nori, where did you get your last name?
Where did I get my last name from?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I love it. I think it's a phenomenal question, actually.
Thank you. I chose it. I chose it. I was working in an arena of nursing where my nurse supervisor said, do not put your last name out on social media. And I was like, okay. It's like, okay, what's my
which is? Which is?
No.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I just had to. Go ahead. Please continue.
I love you. So I was like, okay, what's my last name going to be? I mean, that's such an odd question to be asking yourself, right? What name can I use? So I was like, okay, maybe Nori, because that makes sense to me. Like that feels real. And I, went through all of these, Nori Angel, that was like so ridiculous. And then finally I was like, love, right? What is the most important thing to me on the planet? And it's love. So that there it went. And so it stuck. It really, really stuck. And I mean, there's a whole other story that goes to that from being adopted. And there was huge healing that happened for me. Because in the past 2 years, I found out not only, I knew my adopted family's name, which is the last name that I carry, but then I found out my birth mother's last name, and I found out my birth father's last name, and I was really confused, So at that moment when I was trying to sort out all of those pieces, it felt so solid. I felt so anchored. I felt so grounded because of the name Love. So thank you for asking.
And if you told me your real name right now, it probably wouldn't work for me. There would be a dissonance. Absolutely, because I never thought about it. I just thought coincidentally you have this cool last name, which is Love. You definitely feel that here.
Thank you. And it's funny because only recently, now that I'm developing a relationship with my birth family, that there was a time where there was a really big gap between Nori Love and then my real name. And I'd look at it and I go, wait, what? Wait. So now meeting my birth family, and especially developing a relationship with my sister, it's like it pulled it together. And with the word, it's like I've embodied all aspects of me. And Love is still who I am, and I am seriously considering legally changing my last name to Love. So, yeah.
My name's Keith Anthony Blanchard. We have one more segment of talking with my beautiful guest, Miss Nori, appropriately named Love. We're talking about quantum healing using energy and spirit. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm happy to be back. I'm having a lot of fun. There's no stress. I do everything the way I want it. I just love that cool stuff. Wow. Let's see which Lavender Soul song I'm going to bring out. Here we go. Nothing like a time for a change.
The way little bit harder to take. As I contemplate a billion stars, leaving my hands to fate, that's all I've got, all I've got. In the summertime, I won't have no water. It's a little bit harder to my hands to fade, all up to fade. I wonder why. Ooh, I wonder why. Time for a change. Time for a change. Time for a
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, back from hiatus after a year. Center of Light Radio is with Inception Radio Network, just about 3 3/4 year. Listenership of 4+ million. Decided to take a break, starting all over again, and with your help, we're going to rock this platform, and we're going to do what we can to bring forth greater degrees of light. You and I's participation, the shake hands deal. I'm always open to your ideas for future guests. You like out-of-body travel? Contact me, KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail.com. Facebook, inbox me. I am not far away. I always respond. Everyone who knows me says, he does respond. Send me your ideas. I'd love to get some of the top people in their field. Set you on the path towards something you love, something that means something to you. Right? What else could be more sacred than that altar of your life, be it a physical one in your house? You have these magical things your grandmother gave you, and she's deceased now. So it has an importance, and in that subtle importance is such a huge power. Have you ever paid attention to something like that? That in such subtlety resides the entire universe. Every grain of sand on every beach is the part of the entire beach. and is surrounded by a divine ocean. Build that altar inside of yourself. What else you got? You plug into that place and acknowledge it when you, quote, walk by it. You, again, will never be afraid because you will know who has always walked beside you.
Yeah, amazing.
Welcome back, Nori Love. My dear friend, we're talking about
Thank you.
quantum healing using energy and spirit. And even though it's called quantum, we're not really talking physics, or we're talking more metaphysics, the modalities of being, not necessarily quantum physics, like we're giving you these formulas. We are giving you formulas. It's without all the analytical mind, like you said. It's being and not thinking.
Right.
Blessings.
So I didn't want it to be, a law of attraction 101, or a Reiki 101 or a hypnotherapy 101, because that's so boring, right? But all of those modalities will help you heal. It's just what makes sense to you. What feels good to you? What do you feel like you need? Because it's all energy. So with hypnotherapy, we're using the energy of words and the energy of your imagination and directing that energy, and you can heal your body. You can heal your heart. You can heal your relationship, your side of the relationship. Through hypnotherapy. Law of attraction, you can heal anything through law of attraction. Right? And it's visualization, it's focused attention, it's practice, it's amazing. So whether you want to heal your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, your job, your finances, you have to start somewhere. So does law of attraction like strike a chord in you? You're like, oh, that sounds interesting to me. What we think about, we create. Yeah, I like that. I'm living proof of it. I was, 210 pounds, and so I'm not going to say all the words that I wanted to say to judge myself about that, but it wasn't comfortable. It was painful. And I got a vision. And I went through a lot of steps to get here, but nonetheless, I arrived here. So whatever it is in your life, you can do the same thing.
Nori, I want to interject here. Well, something you said that I want to echo, and I think it's very, very fundamental, integral, that I actually jumped in, is what you just demonstrated is very, very important. And that's why I'm calling it out, because you were explaining something and you paused because you saw where you were going. And you said, I'm not going to use those words that I could have been judgmental about. That is the deal. That is what we were talking about earlier. Finding those unconscious places in yourself. Well, now Nori's conscious, and awareness is changing the situation. Be aware of what's about to run through your experience. This is the work that needs to take place 24/7 until you get so good at it that it's habit, autopilot, second nature, default.
And it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing because no matter who comes and goes in your life, no matter what situation you're in, you always have this inner knowing. You be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not true. I'm going to walk away from that. That's a lie, or that's deceit, or that's whatever. That's trouble waiting to happen. And you get to walk away from it. I mean, tonight, it was so interesting because I did an interview today and we were talking about energies, and we were talking about some energies that were not so light. And all of a sudden, before the interview even ended, my dogs, who are very serene dogs, were going berserk. I mean, this little 4-pound Chihuahua is like in the laundry basket, taking the laundry out. She's never done that, right? It's like everything in my apartment suddenly went berserk, and it suddenly got warm, but there was a current, and people started calling me, and other weird things were happening. And I called a friend, and when I heard my friend's voice, I was like, you know what? I just need to sort my energy out myself, because I was going to call a friend to see if a friend could help me. But then I remembered, no, it's between me and all the work that I have done with spirit and energy. So with that, I laid down on the bed. I turned on my favorite song, right, Hallelujah by Katie Lang, and the vibration of that, and then the spirit just washed over me. And that was when you and I connected, and I was like, I was just listening to my favorite song. And so when you make the choice to walk on the path, when you make the choice to become initiated to energy, to energy and spirit.
That's the word, initiated. Initiated. It's the first step. It's a rite of passage. And the next one is even more delicious. It's integration. Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's so good, right? I know. So I wish I knew about your class, because I probably would have been in it. That's amazing.
I'll send you a link.
Okay. All right. So, so we talked about hypnotherapy. We talked about law of attraction and Reiki. So back when I first started, I was very enmeshed in the, no, it has to be an energy exchange, right? No, we have to exchange money. I was very wrapped up in that. But now, I'm here to tell you that if you have something going on and you don't have any money, my email is norilovemail@gmail.com, norilovemail@gmail.com. If you have something, body, mind, spirit, or soul, that you need help with, please contact me. And if you don't have any energy to exchange in the form of money, it's okay.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You see, you're one of the blessed ones. We're all blessed, but get my point. You're one of the blessed ones. I love it.
It took a pathway for me to get to that. It was one of the final parts of surrender for me. I'm still going through surrender. I think we always go through surrender, but we go through on different levels. And when I finally said, okay, I totally trust you, and I want to be about my work, I want to be about your work, that's when that all unfolded for me. So there's also a Facebook group. It's called Reiki Temple. Reiki Temple. You can come join it, whether you do Reiki, you want to talk about Reiki, you want to learn about Reiki, or you want to get Reiki every Sunday night. Please come join that group on Facebook.
Nori Love, we're coming to the top of the show. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed being with you.
Me too, always.
Anything you would like to leave us with in closing? Definitely give out your contact information. I'm getting back on the saddle. I'm rusty.
Okay.
Give out your contact here.
Okay. All right. So I love that I'm with you in your reuniting with this part of your creativity. Love it. So here's a bunch of places where you can find me. You can find me at everythingconscious.com, everythingconscious.com. My website is evolving, so but you can reach me there. That's the most important thing. You can email me at norilovemail@gmail.com. You can find me at broadcastteamalpha.com, where with Augie Nost and Tom Schaefer, my beloved co-hosts and partners, we do amazing interviews and have conversations there. You can find me at soon at Everything Conscious. I'm going to be having my own weekly show. So, and I'm all over Facebook. Just put Nori Love in, and you'll find some aspect of me there.
Thank you very much.
Keith, thank you so much.
You're welcome here anytime.
I'm so honored and grateful.
What else is there?
I love you.
Thank you, dear. Everyone, Miss Nori Love, I really enjoyed tonight's show. I learned a lot. I love talking with people that illuminate me. I feel charged when it's done, and I get to use that later in life ongoingly. Put that in my little magic bag. Right? Center of Light Radio, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Spread the word, y'all. coming back. I'm coming back strong. I have a desire. I have a passion. I'm burning inside. Right? Next week on Center of Light Radio, Mr. John C. Robinson. Phenomenal individual, powerful man. We're going to be talking about everything of mysticism. Mysticism, those way out, far out experiences, right? Those experiences we all want to have. God experiences, cosmic experiences. When you have nothing to do late at night, you're breathing, laying down, breathing. Breathe on purpose, breathe consciously. Do 10 minutes of that. You'll find yourself in the profound stillness. And in that silent ocean is everything you can possibly imagine. See you next week.
See inside.